the West Philippine Sea is part of the territorial waters of the Philippines. Am I correct? Or is there anyone here that would like to dispute that? So I'm sure the AFP, the SND is aware, pretty much aware that it is part of the Philippine territory. Therefore, since it is part of the Philippine territory, it is incumbent upon the armed forces of the Philippines to protect the West Philippine Sea. Now, ang tanong, dun sa mga area, paano nakapagtayo ng mga military facility yung China? I'm just puzzled. I just wanted to be clarified on this. Thank you for that, Secretary. Kasi nga yung my point lang is that we could have probably prevented the construction of these facilities if we have already raised a howl when during the early stages of the construction of these facilities in the area, in this issue. Kaya lang, I'm just thinking aloud that if they did that in West Philippine Sea, what would stop them from doing that in other parts of the archipelago? So, assuming the best way is to show them that we're no pushover. We have our capability, do have our naval assets, but it can protect the integrity, the territorial waters of the country. And lastly, Mr. Chairman, I've always been puzzled by this. The West Philippine Sea is part of the territorial waters of the Philippines. Am I correct, or is there anyone here that would like to dispute that? Everybody's in agreement that it is part of the Philippine territory, correct? So, isa sa mandato ng ating armed forces ay protektahan yung ating territorial integrity, which includes our territorial waters. Am I correct or am I not correct? So I'm sure the AFP, the SND is aware, pretty much aware that it is part of the Philippine territory. Therefore, since it is part of the Philippine territory, it is incumbent upon the armed forces of the Philippines to protect the West Philippine Sea. Now, ang tanong, dun sa mga area, paano nakapagtayo ng mga military facility yung China? I'm just puzzled. I just wanted to be clarified on this. Ibu pa meron tayong intelligence funds? Isn't that part of your intelligence functions na dapat tinitingnan natin? Kasi hindi naman isang araw lang tinayo yung mga bases na yun dun eh. Lalo na yung airport dun. Bigla na lang nagkaroon ng airport. Right at the very noses of our armed forces. What I'm saying, Mr. Chair, is that siguro kulang tayo sa intelligence funds. We may have a lot of intelligence, but the problem is they could not function because we have insufficient intelligence fund. So, hindi naman matatayo yun ng overnight. So, may I get a clarification as to when did we discover that there is already a facility built by China in that area?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Regarding the construction of the reclamation pa nga sir ang nangyari dito sa totoo lang. We have reports or we have actually intelligence about this already. The thing is, yung ibang mga reports na nakukuha natin, we also get from our other sources by collaborating with like-minded allies that we have. So we get reports on this. The thing is, the way the way we handle this is through the National Task Force on the West Philippine Sea. Remember what happened during the Baho de Masinloc incident in 2012 or 2013, if I'm not mistaken. We almost did some miscalculations there when we sent a gray ship in the area. When I say gray ship, we're talking about a military vessel, the Philippine Navy, and we almost had an incident there with the other country. So right now we address it yung issues na to, sir, by through the National Task Force on the West Philippine Sea with the whole of government involving all the agencies, meaning the Coast Guard, the BFAR, we have the DNR, and all the other agencies that has concerns on the West Philippine Sea. So we are very careful in dealing with this using, as I said, a military action, because we might be we might be subjecting ourselves to mistakes and miscalculations. That's why we are very careful. But rest assured, sir, that the constructions, we are aware of it. There were, I think, more than there were hundreds of diplomatic protests that were filed against it, and we supported that, and we provided the illustrations, the pictures for that as a basis for the DFA to file diplomatic protest. So we reiterate our concerns here on China's massive construction and militarization activities in the West Philippine Sea. With all the resources available to us right now, we shall continue to conduct our patrols and maintain our presence in the West Philippine Sea to ensure that the well-being of the Filipino community there is well protected. Right now, sir, we are occupying around 9 islands in the West Philippine Sea. So, sir, the sovereignty and territorial defense activities are ongoing in the West Philippine Sea.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you for that, Secretary. Kasi nga yung my point lang is that we could have probably prevented the construction of these facilities if we have already raised a howl during the early stages of the construction of these facilities in the area. Kasi nga alam naman natin, diplomatic protest. I'm informed that there are maybe a little over 100 diplomatic protests, and this falls on deaf ears. I'm not blaming the task force or the AFP or the National Defense in this issue. Kaya lang, I'm just thinking aloud that if they did that in West Philippine Sea, what would stop them from doing that in other parts of the archipelago? Assuming in our case, we're facing the Pacific Ocean. If Pacific Ocean is a strategic waterway for their submarines and the baka magtayo na lang dyan somewhere ng floating facility. So we must be aware of this. I'm sure we are. It's just that maybe I don't know really if hindi as the secretary said, hindi mating kaya girahin yung mga yan at we are just good to just filing our protests. And even if the protest reached to 1,000 diplomatic protests, I just really don't know kung magde-decision ba itong United Nations on this protest. So the best way is to show them that we're no pushover. We have our capability, do have our naval assets, but it can protect the integrity, the territorial waters of the country. So that's all, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to be clarified on those.